Chelsea from Attention to Details, and today in the shop we are working on this Hyundai, I don't know, it's an Elantra. We're getting it ready for a ceramic coating. We're going to do a wash, chemical decon, clay towel treatment, a polish, and coat it in about 4 hours time. Let's see if we can do it. I'm going to go into time lapse, but can you ceramic coat a sedan sized vehicle in 4 hours? Let's find out. So this is what it looks like when you start off with an idea for a video and things take a drastic hard left turn somewhere in the middle. But before we get into all of that, let's first just take a quick look at what the condition of this vehicle is before we get started. Because time is of the essence, we're going to use products that perform quickly for us. Superior Products Dark Fury for our wheel wells and door jams, and Shine Supply Wise Guy for our tires and wheels. After cleaning tires and door jams, we're going to go ahead and do a high pressure rinse, foam it down with Purest Alkaline Degreaser soap that does a really nice job of loosening the heavy dirt on our vehicle. And then we're going to do a contact wash, rinse everything off, and then we're going to spray the entire vehicle down with G-Technique W6 Fallout Remover. We're going to use that chemical decon to kind of help break any sort of bond the ferrous metal might have with the vehicle. And then we're going to use the chemical decon and our soap as lubricant and do a chemical decon and clay towel treatment in one. This is a really quick way to decontaminate your vehicle, especially ahead of a ceramic coating. I'm going to rinse all of that off, come in and dry our vehicle down with our Purest towel, and then pull it inside to be able to examine the paint. Now, when I came into this was supposed to be just a quick paint enhancement and coat. That's how we had priced it for the customer. But after we hit this with our swirl finder light, Lord Almighty, did I realize that this was not going to be as quick of a detail as I had hoped. But after doing our wash and our decontamination, you can see we've got smooth paint, and smooth paint is what's going to give you glossy paint. Now, note the condition before we've polished it and coated it. We have nice gloss and shine, but let's be able to compare this to our vehicle once we are done with our polish and coat. There's definite clay towel marring. My experience is that this paint is typically hard, but I'm wondering if it's soft. So we're gonna try out, we got definite major swirls right here. You can see the long scratches of the car wash brush, and then kind of where you see the blue-red micro scratches. Some of that is clay towel marring, but I'm just thinking that this paint, we're gonna try out couple things. We've got, looks like Brillo pad up here. Over here we've got, there's just some random spots that look like we've got like maybe like some light burn marks. I don't know, like right there. You can see, just kind of. So we're just gonna have to be a little bit careful. We've got some areas that have kind of a vinyl wrap around them. Those normally polish up pretty quickly. Got some bird mark etchings. It does have a metallic flake in it, so I think it's gonna look really nice. But we just we gotta pound this out quickly. But at the same time, what the customer wanted was 50 to 75% correction. So we're gonna see with a test spot what our products are. I already have a couple that I want to try out, but we do have some areas where the scratches are a little bit more severe. It looks like they were maybe keyed or something. This was our F601. Really nice clarity, finished down beautifully, but didn't do a whole lot when it came to swirls and scratches. I always start kind of with the yellow foam pad because that's going to finish down nicely on most vehicles. If we have really soft paint, I'll notice sometimes a haze. We stepped it up to the diamond hybrid polish. You can see we've got a little bit of hazing going on, but a little bit more correction. When I stepped up to the hybrid compound, we have way more correction, but we have a haze that we need to finish down. So I have to decide, do I want to go for clarity and not having to do a second step? That's not going to remove much when it comes to the paint condition, and it's pretty bad on this vehicle. You can see here's our before. This was our after with the F601. We had a touch more correction, a little bit of a haze. So again, that's telling me if I use any product that really is going to be more of a medium polish up in aggressiveness, we might not get to finish down really nicely. Sometimes with paint correction, things do not go as planned. And the hardest thing about paint correction can sometimes actually be the test spot and figuring out which product and pad is going to give you the winning combination for that vehicle. And it can change from panel to panel based on severity of swirls. I started out with this video with the intent of showing you a quick way to polish and coat a vehicle in under 4 hours, and quickly realized that that was not going to be the video that we were going to be able to make today. This actually became a rather stressful and exhausting process, and sometimes it can be when it comes to paint correction, especially if the paint is in more severe condition. And I'm showing you these glimpses because I want to kind of show you the reality of paint correction and maybe how to address some of these issues, because I don't really see this oftentimes on YouTube for those of you that want to get into paint correction to know how to think through these processes. Paint sucks. Tried an orange pad with like a reconditioning cream that doesn't have, I mean, it has good cut, but it's not that much cut. Followed up with a white foam pad and a finishing polish that should remove any sort of micro marring, and there's still micro marring. So that either leads me to believe that our first pad is too aggressive or we're not finishing down well enough. But even if I've gone back over with a black finishing pad, it's not aggressive enough to remove the micro marring. Black pads are not going to do that much, and even the polishes that I'm using are finishing polishes that really, I mean, they're decent correcting, but when you pair it with a white foam pad, they're not going to be that much. So what the heck is going on with this paint? And do I just give up and stop giving as much of a care? I'm not even getting that much correction at this point. I mean, we're removing the micro marring. I told the customer 50% of swirls and scratches, but there's still quite a bit of swirls and scratches. Even if I go with a more aggressive blue foam pad, I'm gonna have even more marring that I'm gonna have to correct, which, yeah. I tried F601, do I dial it back to M302, but then I'm not going to get as much correction. If I go with more correction, even if I tried Griot's correcting cream, God, why is this so difficult sometimes? Normally this paint is really hard and can handle it. I mean, I definitely can't hit it with a microfiber or a wool pad because it's just gonna like, with marring. Orange foam really shouldn't be that aggressive. The reconditioning cream, all right, I'm running out of pads. Took away here on the effing life, and I can't get it back now. When I see that look coming out your eyes, I hope it's me. Therefore, you didn't love when you had me. Now you need me so badly. You can't be serious, and that's hilarious. All right, we're gonna try Rupes Fine Polishing Compound. I mean, that's probably going to be too aggressive at this point, but let's just try it. It couldn't hurt. Could it hurt? I don't know. I'm talking to myself. I'm freaking losing my mind. Please, Jesus, let this work. Alright. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Well, wait, what? Alright, we got a little bit of a haze. We got a haze right there. But we don't have as much marring. We visibly have some holograms or just some ghosting. You can see kind of like right here. All right, let's just see. Boom! Shakalaka. And we have our winner. All right. Rupes Fine Polishing Compound. Finish up with our Phoenix COD Fabulous Finishing Polish. And folks, we got a winner. No more haze. No more micro marring. I'm gonna have to go over this side of this panel and every freaking thing else. Is not wanting to cooperate, and I feel like that's been a lot of the vehicles that I've been working on lately. Here's our before. Over here, we have our end result, and we're finally getting to a point where I'm not having to battle severe micro marring. This paint has just been a constant menagerie of issues. If I go in with an orange foam pad, maybe a medium polish, even something like a Koch Chemie F601, didn't do much in the correction. Finished down nicely, but it really wasn't removing hardly any of the swirls and scratches on this paint because they are pretty severe and this paint seems to be a little bit harder. If we step it up, yellow foam pad, nice correction, but we're getting a little bit of micro marring. So anytime I want to have any sort of decent correction, I'm gonna have to battle micro marring. So then I figured, okay, let's try Detail Addicts Platinum Polish, Detail Addicts, their Diamond Compound. Both were creating a haze, both were creating a micro marring. The Diamond Compound did a nice job of correcting swirls and scratches on the paint, but it was leaving too severe of a micro marring behind that even if I came in with an orange foam pad or a white foam pad, it was not removing the micro marring. And so we can't use that product on this because it's gonna be too severe. It's actually making it almost like a 2 or 3 step. So I wanna keep it, if I can, like a 1.5 step where I just kind of do some quick passes with whatever I'm gonna correct with, and then some quick passes with my finishing polish. Call it kind of a bridge between a 2-step. It's like a 1.5 step. High performance fine polishing compound. We're pairing it with the yellow foam pad. These are meant to work together really nicely. And so in this moment, it's doing nice correction. And then we're using our Phoenix COD Fabulous Finishing Polish and a white foam pad, just 2 quick passes. And that's removing any possible micro marring that we might be inducing. And that's the least amount of work that I have found at this moment to give me the correction that the customer is looking for, but finished down appropriately before I lock it in with our coating. I might try one last product of 3D1 over here with the yellow foam pad just to see what that might do. Hopefully, maybe because that product is kind of a hybrid, it has more polishing versus correction, but when you have the right pad, you can do decent correction. So we're gonna see where we land with 3D1. That's the last product that I'm gonna test. Otherwise, I'm gonna have half of a vehicle just test panels, and then I might have to constantly be going back over my work. So paint correction, if you wanna get more into it, you need to have a lot of different options in your arsenal. You need to have a basic knowledge of what kind of paints you're working with. Your test spot really is going to kind of give you a baseline. That's why they always say start with the least aggressive method and work your way forward. That's why we started with the F601 for the paint condition. For what I've experienced with Hyundai paint, tended to be harder. That wasn't giving me much in correction, so I knew if I wanted to correct, I need to step it up in either product or pad. But if I went beyond a yellow pad, I was getting micro marring. If I went more aggressive with my product, I was having micro marring. And so again, you have to kind of figure out, do I want to have to do a 2-step and finish down, or do I just dial it back on correction and just go for more gloss and shine and finish down nicely? Again, your customer's budget is going to dictate a lot of that. But this is just kind of some of the mental thinking and process that goes into paint correction. And again, There are some detailers out there that they would go for paint perfection. They would probably break out a microfiber wool pad, and they might make it a 2 or 3 step, and they might charge accordingly. I'm not the type of detailer that typically strives for paint perfection, and I'll explain to you guys the reasons why I landed at that conclusion. Majority of my customers really don't see swirls and scratches. I may point out to them that maybe we got 50 to 75% correction, really nice gloss and shine, and they'll say, I don't even see what you're seeing. The paint just looks amazing. The average customer is not going to really notice those swirls and scratches, especially like a detailer who has a trained eye for those things. Now, you have those few rare customers that really see it and notice it and appreciate it. But 75, maybe even 90% of the customers that I see just do not see the level of swirls and scratches that a detailer may notice. And so who are you detailing for? The customer or the person you're taking a picture for that's going to possibly judge your work in a detailing group online? The other thing is that they may not be able to maintain it that way. I could have the paint perfected and the customer take it out. Maybe they want to show their vehicle off to their neighbor or coworker. They're outside looking at the vehicle and they'll say, yeah, feel how slick the paint is. And maybe it's got a light layer of dust on it. They're going to rub their hands all over the paint, showing off how slick it is. Or maybe their hands are full. They're going to lay their bag on their vehicle to get their keys out of it. Or maybe their kids are going to close the door with the paint instead of the door handle. You're going to get swirls and scratches, and I don't even care if you're taking the utmost care while you're washing it and drying it, doing a 2-bucket method with a grit guard, maybe 10 microfibers, you're using a dryer to dry your vehicle off. At some point, you're going to have to do contact to your vehicle to wash it. At some point, you're going to get light layer swirls and scratches on it. It's inevitable. So for me to have paint perfection and then expect to maintain that is unrealistic. And so for me, if I know I'm going to pick up swirls and scratches along the way, what's the point of me really getting paint perfection if it's just going to get scratched potentially right as soon as they leave my garage? The other issue is that they may not always be able to afford it. Sometimes it requires a lot of steps, a lot of time, and a lot of products to be able to get that level of paint perfection. Maybe the customer's budget is not on point for that. So you have to really take all of those factors into consideration when it comes to paint correction. In this moment, that's what I'm doing. The customer has maybe about a $450 budget for me to do a wash, chemical decon, polish, and coating. Now the coating, I'm giving them a discounted price because it's a promotion and we're testing out a new product. And so that's why we're doing a discount price for that. But again, my profit margins are not to the point where I can spend 5-6 hours polishing this. I really have 3 hours budgeted to be able to polish this vehicle. So I need to be able to get results quickly. It's going to finish down properly. I also have to take into consideration the integrity of the clear coat, how much we have to work with. So I can't come in with a wool pad or a microfiber pad. That's going to be too aggressive. If I do an orange foam pad, I'm not going to get much correction. So really, what's the point? I need to get some level of correction, but I don't need to worry about everything. So there's just so many things that I'm taking into consideration for all of this. My brain is going 1,000 miles a minute. I apologize if I'm talking so quickly. I do have a lot that I need to get done on this vehicle, but I at least wanted to come in and explain to you guys my approach and why my approach is that way. Some people may not agree with me. Some people may be in an environment where their customers can pay for that, expect that, and appreciate that. And they can also maintain that. Maybe they are going to be maintaining those vehicles for their customers, and so they can take the necessary steps to be able to prevent that. But again, I don't care how good of a detailer you are. You're still going to get some light swirls and scratches on a vehicle, no matter how many steps and products and foams and dryers, etc. that you have. Unless you have PPF on your vehicle that's self-healing, you're going to get some level of swirls and scratches. No coating is going to even make it impervious to swirls and scratches. So again, be realistic. Know your customers, know their expectations, know your skill level, know their budget. We're going to keep moving on this, but I at least want to share that input because I feel like it's not being said enough online. A lot of times we just see these detailing groups and these amazing 50-50s, and everyone expects that that's what you have to have. They think that that is the standard that you have to meet of having paint perfection, and that's not always the case. It's not always the healthiest, and it's not always realistic. So you need to figure out what your process is going to be, but make sure you have the tools, the products, the pads in your arsenal that you can give your customers what they are willing to pay you for. And don't do work that they are not paying you for. Do not do a 2-step if you're only charging them $150 for paint enhancement. It doesn't matter what kind of skill level you may have. If your customer is not willing to pay you for said skill, you don't do it. It's just not a good business model to move forward with. So hopefully this can give you some practical tips and advice on this. I've got quite a bit of work left to do. I need to actually go inside, make dinner for my family because I'm still a mom, Gotta make dinner for my family, get my kid to soccer practice. We're probably going to have to polish and coat this later on tonight. I was hoping to get this done a lot faster, but I ended up having a salesperson stop by. It was a great conversation, but it definitely set me back by a half hour. So we're going to keep moving, but now that we know what we need to do, we're going to pound it out. Pound it out. So this is 3D1, and I'm still seeing a tick of that micro marring. You can see kind of all the little lines around our paint correction light. So again, I don't think it matters what product I use at this point. Anything that's going to remove swirls and scratches is going to mar. But the 3D one actually, it finished down pretty decently. If I didn't have this level of care, I think that, you know, it would be fine. But this paint just doesn't want to cooperate. Here's our before, that's our after. So we're just gonna do a quick pass with our finishing polish just to remove that. But we tried one last product. I was hoping that it would work. And with this light, it looks nice. But when I come in with this light, we can still see just the slightest tick of that micro marring. All right, so I feel like this is update number, I don't even know what number at this point. I feel like I've updated you on every single panel. I don't want this video to be 5 hours long. So we tried out 3D1. I was using my fabulous finishing polish with all these other products. I've been enjoying it lately, low dust, no dust actually, and easy wipe off. Was using that, and then I thought, you know, why am I doing fabulous finishing polish when 3D1 is actually a polish when you have the right pad? So we kept our 3D1 residue on the panel, brought in our white foam pad, just put a smidge of the 3D1 on it, went over it, and boom, we have figured out the perfect winning combo. 3D1, like 2 or 3 passes with our yellow foam pad, then grab your white foam pad and just continue to work down that residue a little bit more. That removes the micro marring with the white foam pad, finishes down really nicely. I am not having to do multiple steps, multiple products, one product. So 3D1 in this moment, perfect. Really happy I finally figured it out. Now I need to go make spaghetti. We'll come back later. We'll figure all this out. But, oh my gosh, this vehicle, I swear to God, I feel like I've aged doing this vehicle. So you might think I'm crazy after watching this video, and honestly, this vehicle kind of drove me a little bit crazy, but I wanted to share with you guys this real glimpse into detailing, paint correction, and sometimes the frustration that can be paint correction. But when you find the right combo, it is the best feeling in the world when you're able to give your customer the results that they are paying you for, and this customer was so beyond blown away by the end result. But it definitely took a lot of work. So we are day 2 on this vehicle, and that did not go as planned. I totally anticipated coming into this doing a quick wash, chemical decon, 1-step polish, coating it, 4 or 5 hours, be in and out. I ended up starting at around 12, had to stop at 4:30 for family stuff. We came back at it like 7 to 8:30 at night. So total was about 5.5 hours for our prep process. Now we're getting ready to apply our coating. Customer, actually, we talked to them last night, and just because of the extra steps involved and everything, we did increase the budget ever so slightly, but they're going with a more durable product. So I think it's going to be a win-win for them. I'm happy with where the vehicle landed as far as paint correction. I think we're going to be able to give the customer really satisfactory results, but I wasn't necessarily having to spend 7-8 hours with a multiple step process. We were able to do it in technically what I would consider a step and a half. We literally were using 3D1, 2 passes with more aggressive pad, kept that residue on there, 2 passes with a polishing pad. So it's like a 1.5 step, even though you're using the same product but 2 pads. So that's a great way to get decent correction and finish down nicely on vehicles that can be a little bit difficult. So here is the finished result after doing our paint correction, and I actually did a second reading, and we're still at 3.3, 3.4. Some areas we do have more paint to work with, 3.8, 4 mils, etc., but there were some areas that we were even like 2.9. So again, universally around this vehicle, I couldn't take the same approach on every surface because of those areas where we have some paint that is getting thinner or already pretty thin. But I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and apply our McKees 37, the graphene coating. That is the one the customer has selected for this vehicle. And for those that want to see a closer look at that, keep watching. We're going to show a quick look at that product. I've also done a dedicated video on it. To give you a quick visualization of that point, these were the products that I used for this vehicle. This was the number of pads that I went through. I typically will change 1 pad per panel or maybe 2 to 3 sections. But I did a total of around 7 test spots before we finally landed on our 3-to-1 combination. And that probably added another hour to my paint correction kind of time that I had allotted. So just know when you go into polishing a vehicle, that is why the test spot is the most important step in the paint correction process, because that's really going to dictate to you how much time is required. And sometimes that test spot, it's not going to be nailed down on the first try, especially if you're working on darker colored vehicles, black vehicles. They can be a whole nother level of nightmare, just because I could work on a white vehicle that same year, make, and model and be able to get flawless results, first product, first pad. When you're working on a black vehicle, just know going into it, give yourself a cushion of time for that test spot, because things may not go as planned. You may not finish down properly well enough. So hopefully this can give you some practical advice and give you realistic expectations when it comes to the world of paint correction. So now that we are all done with our paint correction, let's move on to our ceramic coating. I oftentimes get asked by you guys, what coatings am I offering here for my customers? What are some of my favorite? We did a panel prep white with Car Pro Eraser to remove all of the polishing oils, especially with 3D1. That is an essential step because there's a lot of polishing oils within it. But we're now applying the McKee's 37, their graphene ceramic coating. This has been my favorite coating to apply lately. It's extremely affordable for me. I get it for about $160 a bottle, but you're going to get 3 to 4 vehicles out of that one bottle. So actually cost for me to provide this for my customers is about $40 per vehicle. So that's a really nice return. And so because we had a little bit of an expanded budget, but not a huge budget to work with, that's why we chose this coating for this customer. It's still going to give him a multi-year option, but it's going to give him that affordability that he's looking for with this project. So for those of you that might have missed my previous videos of working with this product, we're just going to do a quick summary for those of you that want to try it out for yourself. You want to work panel by panel with this product. Now, it's actually pretty forgiving, so you don't need to necessarily rush or hurry yourself. For a panel of this size, I'll divide it into half. You can see we already did the left side. Now we're going to do this right side, and we're going to view this as one panel. So we're going to divide it into half, apply fresh product. You want to work in about a 3 by 3 section. Apply it in your cross hatch up and down, side to side. And then once we are done applying our product, even if you were to do 2 panels at a time, it's still pretty forgiving, but you're going to find it's the most friendly to work with if you work panel by panel. You'll see a rainbowing effect with your product. That means it's ready to remove. I like to work with 3 microfibers. I'll do 2 low GSM towels for my initial level. That's going to help remove a majority of our transfer solution with our first towel. Come in with our second towel, and you want to continue to kind of work with your halves or however you've divided your panels. Remove your initial transfer solution, and then when you are done with those 2 low GSM towels, come in with your plush microfiber, very light touch. This is just going to help remove any sort of remaining transfer solution and also help prevent any sort of potential high spots that you might have. But I do find that when I work with proper lighting, it really helps ensure prevention with high spots. And here's the finished result after doing our paint correction and applying the ceramic coating. You can see we don't have paint perfection, and that wasn't the goal with this project. But what we do have is refined paint. We've got a warmer appearance to our color. We've locked in the condition of our paint with that coating, but we've been able to just give this vehicle a like-new appearance without having to be super aggressive on the paint. The customer was extremely happy, almost as happy as this guy right here. I know this was a longer video, but thank you guys for tagging along with me on this journey. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoy content like this, and make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for future videos that we have, as I am always sharing product reviews, tips, and tricks, and just kind of bringing you along with me on some of these vehicles that I see day in and day out. But For a closer look at detailing, make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for future videos we have coming out. But we'll see you guys in the next detail.